Bitcoin price was down. There was a lot of excitement after BlackRock filed for a Bitcoin ETF, shot up from 26,000 to 30,000 and just came back down. It got a little excited when the SEC lost its case against Grayscale, and then came right back down when the SEC basically did not approve the Bitcoin filing of Invesco and
Big moves are happening in the world of Bitcoin and crypto, and ARK Invest's Cathie Wood is watching closely. Just this past week, the SEC lost a huge case against Grayscale, in which 3 out of 3 judges ruled that the SEC had to go back and reconsider their decision on a spot Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin shot up on the news, however fell back down after the SEC delayed decisions on multiple other spot Bitcoin ETFs later in the week. There is now a countdown of 45 days for the SEC to either appeal the court's decision or reconsider their ruling on a spot Bitcoin ETF. Cathie Wood and ARK Invest see this as a huge win for Bitcoin and the greater crypto space. In her latest In the Know update, Cathie is joined with ARK Invest analysts Yassin Al-Manjah and Tom Stout to break down what this means for Bitcoin in the long term. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Yassin and Cathie Wood break down an interesting use case in which artificial intelligence and Bitcoin intersect, allowing for a much more efficient way of transacting value. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto world, I sent out a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter that covers expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news, all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join over 10,000 others to become a better crypto investor right now. Now here's ARK Invest with their Bitcoin outlook.
It certainly has been a momentous week in the news for the cryptocurrency and the exchange-traded fund industry, with Tuesday's announcement that the SEC lost its court case against Grayscale. I think one of the things that is important to talk about is exactly what was said in that announcement, in that judgment. First and foremost, the courts did not say that the fund has to be allowed to convert to an ETF, nor did it grant that approval by itself. It simply said that the SEC has to go back and review its ruling on that fund. So that's, we saw certainly the price of Bitcoin jump up on the announcement, a lot of excitement. We've since seen that come back in. Part of that coming back in was also that in the same week, later on Thursday, they delayed some applications for a few other funds that had also filed for that, which is not unexpected. It's been consistent from the SEC as they say that it's appropriate to designate longer period of time with which to consider the actions and the rule changes put in front of them. Again, this has been consistent and ongoing for some time, not necessarily related to the Grayscale ruling, but of course it comes in the same week, and Bitcoin price did pull back a little bit on that news. Relative to what happens next, I think there's a lot more questions than there are answers in the market. The SEC does have an avenue with which to appeal this decision. We don't know if that's something that they will do, although they have appealed certain court cases that they've lost in other cases recently. We also don't know if they choose not to appeal, what the timeline is yet for the decision. Some have speculated in the market that one avenue available to the SEC is further denials for other reasons. Others have speculated that an avenue available to the SEC would be to actually unapprove other products that they had approved to get in line with this ruling. While we think that that might be unlikely, it is one potential outcome. Probably the most likely is that they are working on timetables and plans for the eventual approval after considerations. But again, a lot of uncertainty at this point. We certainly think from ARK's perspective and from our partners at 21 Shares that this was a big breakthrough and monumental for the crypto industry. We stand by our position that you've heard from us before, that there is a clear need for an accessible way for U.S. investors to gain the exposure to crypto through a regulated spot ETF product. And more than ever, we do think the writing is on the wall that that is coming here in the United States as the regulatory environment, with some help from the courts, continues to evolve. And so we certainly are committed to developing and launching those innovative products with access to Bitcoin. We've made moves towards that end, and we are eagerly standing by to await the next steps, which could come as soon as next week, or further announcement from the SEC on what its intended next steps are. But of course, there are no assurances relative to any outcomes or timelines at this point. And I think the most clear thing to say is that issuers of all kind, including ARK, are standing by at the ready for the next word from the SEC. So relative to the fundamentals, I think Yassine is going to add more to that and has some color on what he's been seeing in light of this eventful week of news for Bitcoin.
Early next week, Bitcoin's been trading between a tight band of around $25,000 and $29,000 for the last several months, with volatility dropping to a 6-year low. And so in this edition, we break down basically Bitcoin rejecting its 200-week moving average, despite the news around Grayscale and the ETF chatter. And as you'll see in the report, while we have seen that rejection of the 200-week moving average, there isn't really anything that indicates weak holder behavior. We're seeing that the market on average is still trading at a profit and that fundamentals do remain strong. That being said, there are some critical levels of resistance that we highlight that we'd like to see Bitcoin break through for that continuation of a bull market. One of these levels is Bitcoin's on-chain mean, also known as active investor price, which currently stands at around $29,500. The on-chain mean is calculated by dividing the cost basis of investors by Bitcoin's active supply, and is actually a brand new metric that we developed collaboratively with Glassnode that was first featured in a recent Bitcoin white paper that we published last week, Cointime Economics. And in that piece, we introduce a framework to assess Bitcoin's economic state based on a new fungible economic unit of measurement called the coin block. Now, the coin block basically accounts for the fact that the importance of a single Bitcoin varies based on the time it was last moved. So for example, a Bitcoin that's unmoved for 10 years will likely hold greater informational value than one that's been unmoved for a week. So to account for this reality, coin blocks, which is the foundation of Cointime Economics, is used to model Bitcoin's economy instead of outstanding supply. We highly encourage you to read that paper. You can download it at ark-invest.com, and you can also view a live dashboard of all of the metrics that we launched, including the active investor price on Glassnode's website. Finally, yesterday, Kathy and I recorded the second episode of the Bitcoin Brainstorm, which is a monthly conversation with Bitcoiners around the globe, hosted by ARK and Bitcoin Park. And in this episode, we talk Bitcoin and AI, which is a really compelling convergence between two of the 5 technology platforms we're focused on. Now, the introduction of an internet-native financial system, which is epitomized by Bitcoin, is catalyzing a massive shift in how financial transactions online are perceived and executed. And with the rise of AI agents, this shift is enabling a much more efficient allocation of resources. So in this conversation, we dive into how the convergence of AI and Bitcoin hints at a future where AI agents can operate with an extremely high degree of autonomy and efficiency by leveraging an open, transparent, decentralized network like Bitcoin. So you can envision a world, and we get into examples, where AI agents are able to make real-time decisions without the need for a centralized gatekeeper and all the uncertainty that arises with participating in the traditional financial system. And given the nature of Bitcoin being free of counterparty risk, having a fractional value system and very strong settlement guarantees, you're able to create microtransactions where AI agents can be programmed to conduct tiny, instantaneous transactions with finality, to negotiate and transact swiftly, to bid on opportunities in real time, and basically completely automate the entire agent workflow without relying on traditional settlement rails. So in this conversation, you're going to hear from the CEO and founder of Stackwork, Paul Itoy, the CTO and co-founder of Lightning Labs, Laolu Santakan, and the head developer and product support of Fedi.
And then we'll end up at Bitcoin, which is where we started today. And as you will hear in in this Bitcoin brainstorm, and same with the very first Bitcoin brainstorm that we did with our partners at Bitcoin Park in Nashville. One of the biggest opportunities out there is to eliminate a tax on all purchases done through the traditional financial system. And there's a tax on those unless you're using cash. And the tax is somewhere between 2.5% and 4%. That's a pretty big tax in terms of using debit and credit cards and other intermediaries. These intermediaries are going to be disintermediated by the convergence between Bitcoin and artificial intelligence. And as I started out saying, and I'm sure, and Yassi featured as well, you'll see how provocative this is going to be, and how you should all, to the extent you own businesses or are part of a team that has a lot of responsibility in running your team and running the operations, you have to listen to it. It gives you a glimpse at how provocatively the world is going to change, and especially the traditional financial world.
So there's today's deep dive with ARK Invest and their insightful analysis on the future of Bitcoin, especially in light of the recent SEC rulings. A huge thank you to Cathie Wood, Yassin Al-Manjah, and Tom Stout for sharing their expert perspectives. Also interesting was the intriguing conversation on the intersection of artificial intelligence and Bitcoin. It's certainly going to be exciting to see how these developments shape the crypto landscape in the coming months. Remember, if you want to keep your finger on the pulse of the crypto world, don't forget to subscribe to my daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. Over 10,000 investors just like you are getting the latest expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news right in their inbox. Click the first link below to sign up for free and join the community. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.